to this episode of the Midnight Towel podcast. I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the Switch and some stuff I plan on doing. Hopefully, if it'll work out this month. So far, it's not working out, but anyways. So I have, as you can see, my 4 Switch lights. 3 of these I got from the same seller. They've all got pretty much the same issue. The screen doesn't turn on these 3. This one still functions perfectly fine. I got this used from Japan and it seems to work just fine. But yeah, the only issue is like the screens don't work on these 3. I have plugged them in and charged them for a bit. I was able to hear the clicks of the navigation of the menus. This one is actually been reinitialized, so it makes the music of actually, let's see if I can turn it on. Battery might be dead. I didn't charge it for very long. So yeah, as you can see, there's nothing on the screen, so yeah. Turn that back off. But that one has pretty much been formatted. These 2 I'm not 100% sure on, because you can hear as you move the joysticks navigating through the menus. So yeah, they might have accounts on them, or they might just have like a random user on them. I have no idea. I'll see once I repair them and swap the shells. I plan on swapping the shells on all 4 of these systems. I got brand new joysticks for all 4 of them. I have replacement screen protectors, the outer part here. I just hope I don't damage the screen on this one when I do the shell swap. I might save this one till last. These 3 don't matter so much. And one of these, yeah, this one, the screen already kind of has somebody tried to pry it off or something, but it's separated right here. I don't know if you can tell. But yeah. And I've been watching a lot of videos on the Switch 2. The motherboard for the Switch 2 is leaked. And the person that got a hold of it looked at it under a microscope, and it showed a copyright of 2021 on the chip. I think even the chip in the Steam Deck is from roughly that time, or maybe even a year newer. I'm trying to think here. I've had it for 2 years. Came out before then. 3 years, no. Came out in 22. So it might even be the same year as the chip that's in the Steam Deck. But they weren't able to quite boot it up and stuff, but they were able to determine the GPU and the CPU and whatnot, and ran some benchmarks of some games, how they would run with that kind of hardware, and with the games they ran on it, it wasn't that great. They did 2 different versions of it, version of it docked and in handheld mode. And in handheld mode, it's actually weaker than the Steam Deck. Docked mode, it beats the Steam Deck by a little bit. But yeah, the dock gives it a bit more power and cooling and stuff like that, so it can pump more through it to get better performance out of it. But with the battery and everything like that, it's not nearly as good. and the battery life absolutely sucks from what they're saying on the Switch 2, especially compared to the original Switch. Now, I do have an OG Switch and also a Switch OLED. Um, my Switch OLED's battery is quite good. Um, I'm quite happy with that. Um, Now, my battery life on my Steam Deck isn't that great, but I think also that's because my battery's damaged internally. Let's see if it'll boot up here. I haven't plugged it in a couple days. I did play a little bit of a light game for about 10 or 15 minutes just to kind of see how it would run. See if it'll boot up here. Okay, I've tried hypercharge. Yeah, and I'm at 88% battery life, and I had it plugged in maybe 2-3 days ago, and I had it fully charged. I barely played the 9 minutes is how much I played of it. And my battery life went down by quite a bit. I think there's definitely an issue with my particular Steam Deck. And the other day I was running some updates on it, and it just shut off on its own, which sucks. Yeah, I got the Mafia trilogy as well. And Exomon. So yeah, I got 1,490 games now in my library. It's definitely growing. And I get so many games so cheap. Like the other day I bought like 8 games. Let's see if they're still here. Nope, they're not. I bought like 8 games for 64 cents. It's already went down to 87%. Yeah, my battery should not be draining that freaking fast. My Switch doesn't drain that fast. The OG Switch does. It drains quite quickly, but the OLED doesn't. I've sat there. I've sat in the chair and gamed on it in handheld mode for several minutes, and it only went. I think yeah, I played Smash Bros for like 20 minutes, and it didn't even go down 1%. Or at most went down 1%. But I gotta get this thing fixed at some point. But I want to get something. I was going to get a Steam Deck OLED. That was my initial plan for this month. But things haven't been working out the way I've been hoping financially. Just other things have come up, which was one thing I was afraid of. And then I'm probably not gonna get a Steam Deck OLED because I already have a Steam Deck and I can do everything I want on it. But I think what I'm gonna do instead is try and get a mini PC instead. because I basically use this as a console right now, and I want something I can have like handheld. That's why I was thinking of having two Steam Decks. But if I can have the mini PC as like my PC console type deal, or have the console experience with the PC, then that frees up my Steam Deck to be more focused for handheld gaming. And I also want to get into emulation and other stuff with that. I want to. I, I need to learn how to do some other stuff with the Steam Deck. I need to get like Decky Loader, I think it is. Um, yeah, there's a few other things I need to figure out how to do on the Steam Deck. Right now it's pretty basic for what I'm doing. But yeah. And I might go back to collecting physical games for the Switch 1. But I'm also finding that a lot of the games that are third party are also available on Steam and a lot cheaper than buying physical for the Switch. So there's that as well. I actually just found a game on eBay that I was thinking, oh, this would be nice to get, and then I looked it up on Steam, and it was there for a fraction of the price. I think it was like $130 for the collector's edition, and then I found it for like $17 Canadian on Steam. So one day I'll get it on Steam. And that was also another reason why I got rid of my physical collection for my Switch, was because a lot of the games are also available on Steam. And I was planning on getting the Steam Deck. Or I had the Steam Deck. Yeah, no, I had the Steam Deck, and I found a lot of the games on Steam. But yeah. What else do I want to talk about? To the motherboard. Yeah. Um, I was thinking it would be an awesome combo to have like before they uh, had the announcement trailers for like the direct and stuff on the Switch 2. I was thinking it would be awesome to have a Switch 2 and the Steam Deck and stuff like that. Kind of as having your console and your PC handheld combo. But yeah, I'm not impressed with what they're doing with the Switch 2. And that most games are going to be game key cards. They don't have the same options they had with the Switch, the original Switch, where they had a whole bunch of different options for physical cartridges. They had, I think, the 4 gig, the 8 gig, 16, 32, and maybe 24. They had like 4 or 5 different sizes of game cards that developers could get for the Switch, and they all varied in price. And obviously, the smaller capacity ones were cheaper, so even indie developers were able to get physical cartridges for the Switch. That's not happening with the Switch 2. There's only one size, and that's the 64 gig, and it's it's expensive. It's almost like $20 for per cartridge for the developers that want to use it. So you'd have to have a crap ton of cash to be able to pay for the cartridges to then resell, and you'd have to have your game listed at a pretty high price to make a profit. Cyberpunk is doing it. CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk is doing it, which is nice. They did it with The Witcher 3 on the Switch, So Switch 2 is getting Cyberpunk on a 64 gig card. There's a couple other games. I don't remember, but all the first party games are going to be physical. All the Nintendo games will be on the cartridge. But yeah, and then you got the game key cards, um, which have very little data on them, and it's just it, basically access to download or the license to download the game. And it acts like a physical cartridge. You can't play the game without the cartridge in the system, but yeah, you can't. You can't really have well, it doesn't really have any data on it, so you can't really play it offline, or like you can't run it as an offline system. You'd have to have it online to access those games. And if you have a really bad internet connection, which sometimes I have, um, or sometimes the internet is really sluggish or glitchy, or gets the connection interruptions and stuff like that. Um, it just, yeah, it's terrible. Um, I've noticed that with my current provider that even my Wi-Fi signal fluctuates greatly on my Switch. It'll go from 3 bars to 1 bar to 3 bars to 2 bars, down to 1 bar, then to 3 bars. It fluctuates so much. But it's the Wi-Fi router that they gave, well, the modem, and the walls are pretty pretty thick. Well, they're very dense. It's hard to get signals through the building and stuff like that. So yeah, I actually have to use a Wi-Fi booster in the living room just to get a decent signal in my room. Um, yeah. The all digital thing is not the greatest. Um, I know there are some rural areas, both in Canada and the States, that would have terrible internet. Unless you have, of course, Starlink internet, then you'll be fine if you're out in the bush or out in the boonies or in the mountains. Um, yeah, you'd almost have to have Starlink, because I don't think any internet provider will be able to run a cable if you have like a kilometer or a mile long driveway or more longer. Um, yeah. The nice thing with the physical games was that if you didn't have to rely on the internet at all to play the games. So if you had bad internet connection, or if you had a power outage or something, you could still play your games. Now you still might be able to play the game if it's not connected to the internet with a game key card. I don't know. I would hope so, but knowing Nintendo, they might say, "Oh, it needs to verify online." I've had it happen where I had my yellow switch light in my car, or actually no, in an Uber, while somebody else was driving, and I was trying to just play one of my digital games. Said, "Oh, you need to connect to internet to verify that you have this game." It's like, it's really dumb. So it's like there is some DRM with even the Switch 1 with digital games. And then I closed the game and I popped in a game cart and played something else. But yeah, it was stupid. So I was like, well, there's obviously DRM with the original Switch with digital games. I don't have that issue with the Steam Deck. I was without internet for about a month, month and a half, or 2 months or something, and I was able to play all my games, no problem. Um, Except obviously my online games I wasn't able to play, but all my single player games there was no issues. It didn't say, "Oh, well, you must connect to the internet in order to play," but it was all the games that I had were downloaded onto my hard drive, and I just played with controller and my capture card and my monitor, uh, external monitor. Portable monitor. That's what I was trying to say. Portable monitor. Um. So yeah. Uh, um, I got a lot of things to deal with. I got to deal with stuff with my car and my mom's car. Um. I got to give some money to my mechanic because I owe him some money for past repairs on both vehicles. So I gotta come up with some money for him. I gotta get new tires. I'm running on my winter tires right now, and it's gotten pretty warm. Um, because my all seasons are pretty much bald. I might only be able to afford 2 tires this month, and then maybe do another 2 tires next month or something. Unless I can get something really cheap on a sale somewhere. Um, yeah. My hope is that at some point I'll be able to sell um, 2 of the Switch lights for a decent chunk of change once they're fixed, repaired, and customized, so that I can hopefully have some money to catch up on stuff. Yeah. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Um, yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah. I think that's about all I want to talk about in this video or in this episode of the podcast for this week. Um, I did do unboxings of the 2 Switch lights. I didn't get around to testing them yet at that point, so eventually I'll upload those. Um, and yeah, I think I still got to do the unboxing videos for these to upload. I can't remember if I did them yet or not. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed and have a good one.